Mark Tatum, Deputy Commissioner and COO of the National Basketball Association.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you all.
Dr. Richard Lapchick, thanks for being with us here on R&R on Sports.
Thank you for having me.
Civil rights icon, Dr. Edwards, how are you today?
I'm doing a heck of a lot better than I deserve, I'll tell you that.
Sports commentator, Scoop Jackson.
Good to be back on with you all.
Ian Griffey Jr., how are you today, sir?
I'm good. How about you guys?
It's R&R on Sports.
R&R on Sports.
Hello and welcome to R&R on Sports. I'm Howard Robertson.
I am resilient, still standing, keeping my butt at home, COVID-19 knocker outer. It's Larry Robinson. What's up, America? What's happening, baby?
Knocker outer? Is that what you are?
Knocker outer. COVID-19 pugilist. How about that?
You're a pugilist. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. First thing, let's tell everybody is that we are remote. Okay, so
Absolutely,
know this.
Man.
Know this. The last place I would be is sitting next to that man.
Listen.
Somewhere. I would not be sitting next to him because he might be. Y'all know. So
hey, listen, man. Listen. I feel that I'm being the Mother Nature is shorting me of my responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
See, I believe it's my God-given responsibility and purpose
don't
to
put
help
God
you.
in this now. You don't know, but he don't know nothing about what you about
give
to
you
say.
Purpose. That
he knows everything, but he don't know what you about to say.
Take on this purpose, and my purpose is to help you correct your color blindness. So I'm gonna help you dress better, present yourself better, because that is my purpose. Amen.
Lord have mercy. I gotta deal with you remotely.
I'm serious though,
anyway.
But check it out, Howard. Check it out. We talk a lot of mess. But and I know this is a very scary time, and I hope we're able to bring a little levity and fun.
Lighten it up a little bit.
Sport. Yeah, man, people stuck in the house, but I do believe that this is a time for innovation. This is a time to look at who you are, what you're doing, and realize that life is short and that at any moment this thing can change in a way that might, be not to our liking. So it's time to pursue that passion. If you got an entrepreneurial dream, go for that dream. If you want to play the piano, please go learn how to play the piano. Because this is not promised to us. And I tell you, man, me and Howard, out of all the jokes and back and forth, I hope one thing you can hear is that we love each other and we really have a lot of fun doing this. And it came out of that. It came out of a prayer, and it came out of, wanting to have something that was fulfilling. And so I hope this time that you're at home and you are sheltering and spending a lot of time with your family and whatnot, that you look at yourself and say, what is it that I want to do that makes this life really worth living? So with that, I'm going to shut up a little bit.
I appreciate those sentiments and those comments, and that's exactly right. The other thing that I hope that this does for everybody is to give you a sense of perspective. What we talk about being sports is entertainment. It's not life. Okay. So right now, what we're doing is dealing with life without sports. And we're dealing with life in its strictest form. And so I hope everybody will come out of this having a heightened sense of what's really important. What's really important in this life is love, your family, God, and all of that. Hopefully during this time, something will have happened to bring you a little closer to him and to your family and to what's really important. And then you'll have a better appreciation for sports. You'll understand it to be the entertainment that it is. And we hope that it hurries up and kicks back and that we're able to get back all together and congregate. And we're going to talk about that in today's show. And like I said, hopefully add some perspective to it, man. I mean, because this is really an unprecedented time.
Unprecedented. But once again, I don't think it has to be all negative. So listen, we're going to jump. We still got to pay bills, even though we virtual. So we're going to pay a couple bills, and we're going to be back on the other side with a little more humor for you. Check out the LMAO this week. Stay with us.
I'm Leslie Lynn Smith, President and CEO of Epicenter, and we've partnered with KUDZUKIAN. Each episode, hosts Cynthia Daniels and Williams Brack talk shop with Memphis' brightest and best entrepreneurs. Check it out by downloading the KUDZUKIAN app or find us on your favorite podcast provider.
KUDZUKIAN! R&R on Sports with Henry's Hall of Fame Barbershop.
Come on in here and welcome to Henry's Hall of Fame Barbershop. Now, which haircut would you like? Point to it.
I'm in chair one.
Would y'all shut up? That's the number 12. Yes, sir. That's the Barry White. Baby, go on back there and get that lie for me.
Yes,
Sit on down here. We gonna get your hair long and pretty. How'd y'all like that game the other night? Did it suit you? Did the outcome suit you? What you think?
That Carrie got the worst hair of any good hair boy I ever seen in my life.
That boy talking about the main hair. He ain't talking about the main hair.
He's
talking about his game. What?
All he need is all Curry need is some Murrays. Curry needs some Murrays.
He need a wine silky.
Slick that stuff back in it, and it'd be a beautiful
don't need
thing.
no Murray. He need the Duke.
Need the Duke.
The Duke.
They don't do the Duke
freeze
no
your
more.
hair up and make it go any way you want it to go.
And speaking
I've been
of bad,
in this business for 40 years.
I got a little cousin that could braid Riley's hair.
speaking of bad hair, did y'all see LeBron James? What's the
James,
matter with his head?
He ain't got no hair.
He got tatter.
That boy do need a stocking cap. I think he need him some Glover's Moon. That's what he needs.
Lover's Moon, boy.
Lover's Moon?
Lover's Moon.
Now I use his Glover's.
Glover's
That's
the reason your hair look like it looks today.
It's Glover's Maine, sir.
Maine.
It's Glover's Maine,
Oh,
sir.
that's right.
He got stitches in his
y'all
head.
both right. I uses the moon.
LeBron is losing his hair. And it will be gone forever. If you put that Glover's range.
But him and that boy Stephen A. got the same barber.
He is washing more face these days.
And combing less hair.
Now, y'all do know who LeBron James' real daddy is.
That Aloysius boy. That Aloysius boy.
No, that ain't Aloysius boy. No, that ain't. I know who daddy that is. It's Jesse's boy.
Jesse James?
Yeah.
No.
Isn't his daddy in the witness protection program?
Not anymore. The boy's daddy. Now y'all listen to me now.
Well.
The boy's daddy, LeBron James' daddy name is Rick.
Lord have mercy, boy, you just
Rick James.
Don't put that on Rick.
Super freak.
Come in here. I used to come in here with that white guy named Tanner.
That's right. That's his real daddy. A lot of people don't know that.
Is he biracial?
Biracial. No, Rick wasn't biracial. He liked women.
Are you telling me that Jesse Jackson couldn't brush his shoulders off?
Welcome to Funky Politics, Brother Cornell Belcher. How are you, sir?
I'm honored to be a part of Funky Politics. America's not going to fail because of some outside army invades us. No, America's going to fail because of Americans can't get along.
Now is not the time to hate or criticize. Now is the time to disinfect and deodorize. Like the incense, it's going to be funky because this is one funky show.
Funky Politics.
On the KUDZUKIAN Network.
KUDZUKIAN!
This is MJ, and when I'm not in Chicago hanging out with Scotty and the rest of these guys, I'm always listening to R&R on Sports.
Thanks for staying with us. We're back for more R&R on Sports, and of course, we are talking about this amazing global crisis in which we find ourselves, and never before in the history and mankind have we been anywhere similar to this position in a non-wartime where this has affected everybody's life all over the globe. And so, not the least of which is sports. almost literally everything has been canceled, Larry.
Everything. I was watching the Dallas Mavericks game, and when I knew that it was real, when I knew that it was really, really real, I was watching the Dallas Mavericks game, and they were talking about how things were getting canceled, and then they showed that the NBA was getting canceled. The NBA season was canceled to Mark Cuban, and he had no clue. And it was like, whoa! And you saw his eyes, his mouth, and then he immediately went over to the team. And man, I was sitting here thinking like, okay, what are we about to go into? Then, of course, the NCAA canceled, March Madness, and then you started seeing people, talk about, shelter at home and don't go home, and then, recently you got Sam Jackson talking about, stay the F at home. It's an amazing time. Once again, I refuse to let COVID-19 beat down my spirit, man. And I just think it's an amazing time for innovation. I think it's a time that we can look introspectively, really think about what we can do. How can we take advantage of this opportunity to put some really, really cool stuff together that we all can take advantage of? So I know it's tough, and I'm missing my sports, man. I'm missing LeBron James doing his thing.
I was out of the country during the major part of this evolution, I should say.
Right.
I was 6,000 miles away from home in Ghana, West Africa. Here's how I was impacted by the prominence and the pervasiveness of this thing. Flew nonstop from Washington, D.C. to Accra, Ghana. Okay, was going through customs. We were greeted at the Accra airport by immigration officers with masks and these little temp guns. And every living soul, before you came into their country, they asked you a couple of questions. If your temperature was high, you were asked to get out of the line and move over to the side. Now, quite frankly, I don't know what happened to them. I was just thankful that I was allowed to go on. Even the hotel complex that we were in, if you went out to go shopping or went somewhere and came back, they would do the same thing. They had masks on and they would take your temperature before you were allowed back into the hotel complex. That's how pervasive and serious this thing is.
There's some other pieces to this that I really want to make sure that America and the world know that what makes R&R just such a unique property.
Okay, you're listening to R&R on Sports on the KUDZUKIAN Network. All right, so go ahead.
Listen. We have a newly installed chief of development for Ghana, Africa. Listen, man. Only on R&R. Now, I know I probably butchered up his real title, but so I'm gonna let him explain what is installed mean, because I don't want installed to actually mean, and I don't know if he want me to tell you that because I don't know. Does that mean, what does that mean installed?
No, I will tell you. Okay, you just stop right there before you get in trouble. Okay, here we go. Here's the executive summary, folks. So some years ago, DNA evidence showed that the origin of my ancestors was Princestown, Ghana. That is on the west coast of Ghana. DNA evidence linked me to the chief of Princestown, Ghana, where there was a 98.8% likelihood that we shared a common female ancestor. He and I met some years ago, and I had always said if I got to Ghana, I had to go to Princestown. And so I got to go to Ghana and drove from Accra to Princestown, which is like driving from Memphis to Atlanta, about 6.5 hours or so. Little known to me, they had this program set up and the whole town turned out, and that's what Larry's talking about. I was installed.
Now, when you're installed, do they wipe you down?
Wait a minute. Now, I knew you were going. Don't get crazy. with your nasty self.
Because I'd be like, I always used to smell something, but I kind of thought it was.
Let me explain. The seats of power, chiefs in Africa sit on a stool. They don't sit on. That's like a throne. They don't sit on a throne. They sit on this stool. And installment means they make you a chief. And so in Princestown, Ghana, a city of about 6,000-7,000, I was made a chief, and I was made the chief of the hush. I was made what they call the Nkosahene. The Nkosahene is the chief of development. And this is someone who helps them in terms of getting the funds and whatnot that they need for the city. So my job is to help them actually build up the town. It's a phenomenal small city on the coast.
Did you say antihistamine?
No, I didn't. I said Nkosahene.
Oh,
Nkosahene. Hene, H-E-N-E.
I thought you said because I imagine
knew you would mess it up. Knew you would mess it up. But at any rate, it was quite humbling. It was quite an honor, and it was also quite phenomenal for somebody who looks like us, an African American, to even have any inkling of where on the continent of Africa our origins are from, and I consider myself very, very blessed to understand that and to know that and to have been connected with them. So that's what that was.
Only on RNR on Sports do you get to listen to the chief. He's our chief of sports. He's our chief of LMAO. And now in Ghana, he's the chief of development.
Well, coming to America, he's your chief of vision of loveliness.
Only on R&R Sports, baby. Now, listen, man, you don't get it no better than this. You don't get it no better than this. So, listen, go to the KUDZUKIAN app on the App Store and on Google Play or Google Podcasts and download the app. On Google Play, download the app. So you can now hear from the chief every week.
That's exactly right. Who are we? Who are so much stuff happening, but
well, listen, man, because of the time that we're in, we have my partner, Allan Houston, who's got a program called Fizzle, man. Fizzle stands for Faith, Integrity, Sacrifice, Leadership, and Legacy. Now, this is going to be an old interview, but we're going to get Allan on real soon to kind of update us on Faith, Integrity, Sacrifice, Leadership, and Legacy project and what they're doing with many youth organizations around the country. But because, we are all, at home with our kids. So we're going to hear from Allan Houston and see what they're doing over at the Allan Houston Foundation with the Fizzle Project.
When we come back for more R&R on Sports on the other side of this.
Now it's a real motherfucker.
Riffin' on jazz.
When two friends get together to kick it
about jazz, it's called Riffin' on Jazz.
Catch us riffing on jazz every week right here on your favorite broadcast or podcast platforms.
Riffin' on jazz on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
KUDZUKIAN!
Lucky for you, that's what I like. That's what I like. Lucky for you, that's what I like. That's what I like. Search by the fire.
And here we are with Eye Conversation. And a great guy that has become somewhat of a regular here on R&R, although he's in New York City and we are here in Mayberry. But he gets down here and gets on the phone and gets with us from time to time. I'm talking about the assistant general manager of the New York Knicks and former all-star shooting guard,
and
Allan
founder
Houston.
Of one of the most amazing organizations that's coming on board.
You always got to add.
Yeah, because you leave stuff out, brother. You leave stuff out.
We were getting to that. Allan, welcome, man.
Good to be back, as always.
Now, here's how we're going to get into that.
So you want to talk about Louisville a little bit? Because he actually learned how to walk on the Crawford Gym floor at University of Louisville. Because we do that in Louisville.
I got that.
We ball players. See, we ball
yourself in that.
We ball players. We on the court. We on the
but
court.
You were from the hills, Larry. You from outside of Louisville. He had a street in front of his house. You had dirt. Anyway, now how was it indeed growing up the son of a legend?
Yeah.
I mean, because Wade Houston was a legend in Houston, in Louisville, and I mean, was there pressure on you as a kid?
I didn't really feel pressure. I mean, I felt pride more than anything. Think about it. This is your dad who is playing an highly influential role in essentially guys who are your heroes, and so he's the guy that's kind of instructing and leading them. So it basically gave me such a respect for him that it was hard. I mean, obviously, as you grow into your young manhood, you're going to have bumps in the road and disagreements here and there with your authority figure. But
my mother-in-law calls it going over Fool's Hill.
Yeah. So
some of us, roll over Fool's Hill.
Yeah. But
some of us circle back and go over
do it again.
I did a couple of those laps. And my whole thing was, look, when I got to the hill and as I started to roll over, what it did is it made me think a lot longer. Right. And that's what the relationship with my father was. Is I got to see a lot of greatness that came from him, not just directly, but kind of indirectly from the players he coached. So by the time I was a high school student athlete that was starting to form my own identity, I felt, at that time I already had a healthy respect for what he had kind of poured into me, and just the whole situation, and his influence was big, but I don't think I ever felt pressure because with him being a coach, my biggest pressure was more really kind of like, are you going to live a certain way and not be a great basketball player? But the pressure I felt more was I have to represent his name, represent the city, represent the Louisville the right way, and so that to me was the pressure of living according to the name that he set forth.
This is R&R on Sports, and we're speaking with Wade Houston, his son. Allan Houston.
Right.
We're speaking of Wade's son. We're speaking about Wade, but I'm saying we're speaking of Wade Houston's son.
Technically speaking to Wade.
Yeah, that's what
I'm
he
a
said.
junior.
No, I said we speaking to Wade Houston's son. Allan Houston. Golly, man, what's wrong with y'all brothers, man?
I buy you books.
Listen, man.
I buy you books. I get you magazines so you can read up on this stuff.
Right. Too many pictures of them.
You embarrass me.
Okay.
Yeah, too many pictures.
Now look. Now see, when we were growing up, the University of Louisville Cardinals were our pro team.
Right.
I mean, seriously,
Right.
they were everything to us. How much of that, seeing them train, seeing how much work they put in, was a part of your development as you became a great high school player, a great college player, and ultimately a great pro?
So I got a quick story. So I was like in 7th grade while I was in practice, watching them, go up and down. And mind you, I realized the greatness I was seeing. I mean, these guys were going to Final Fours.
Right.
They were pros. They were literally pros, you know.
Right.
So I'm watching this and watching Coach Crum and my dad and all these great players. One day they're running at the end of practice, and Coach Crum says, "Allan, get over here." Said, you got to make 7 out of 10 free throws in front of this whole team, or they got to keep running.
Whoa.
7th grade.
Now that's some pressure.
Right?
That's some pressure right there.
So,
your hero.
So when you ask me how much of my development was attached to that experience, imagine, that as a 7th grader, and I made my 7 and everybody was going crazy. But imagine how now you go from that to your middle school game. They weren't trying to say we need to make this guy next LeBron. They were saying we got to build some values into this young man, some confidence, and that's
fortitude
really,
and toughness. Yeah,
right. So for me, those were the valuable experiences that I take away from that. When I was a sophomore, as freshman, the guys would come back from the pros, Griff, and all the pros would come back and play in Crawford Gym. And when I was a sophomore, I finally got to play some games.
Really?
And now, my freshman year, they throw my ball on the other court. But now, my junior year, I'm seeing them over there like when we playing pickup. Now, the year later, they're over there like saying, "Who got Al?"
Wow!
So you're
really?
starting to see the progression. Like you go from there, I want him here, and,
to them taking you seriously.
Who's gonna actually guard him?
Yeah.
Right. So it's again the whole development. That whole process was huge.
Wow.
So all of those experiences and exposures, as I understand, came down and helped you form this
value
new
system
thing that you got.
Yeah.
Talk about
new thing.
Talk about
this
that.
new thing.
This new thing.
Well, it's
you stole Snoop's word, man. Go ahead. Go ahead. Tell him what's up.
Well, after we explain all this, y'all tell me if y'all think it's Snoop's words. Although he did support, and we did like this these shout outs. But what happened was, my father we started doing these father-son basketball retreats, and we really wanted to. I time I signed with the Knicks, I wanted to say, let's share all this, what we've shared. How can we package it and share it in a way that encapsulates our relationship and the message that I got? So I was just riding on the plane. I said, well, what is it that if I could kind of sum it up quickly in some words or themes, what would it? And God just basically, literally, man, just took my hand and wrote these 5 words down and kind of put them into one acronym. So I said, well, let's talk about faith. Was one. Fundamental. Integrity, which is faith, was my mother was just all faith. Everything was faith. Believe, trust. It's gonna be on. My father was integrity. He was the guy. Like, you got to do the right thing, make the right play. His father was like, just what's right and wrong. So then I thought about sacrifice is the things that I saw them work so hard for, give up things that we could do. So faith, integrity, sacrifice, and then I thought about those kind of qualify you for leadership, right? And at the end of all that, you now have an understanding of what your legacy really is. So those 5 fundamentals of life were faith, integrity, sacrifice, leadership, and legacy. So we've kind of basically branded Fizzle, right, as these fundamentals.
For shizzle.
You can say that.
For shizzle. This is R&R on Sports, and we're speaking with Allan Houston about Fizzle.
That is very deep.
It's like a stair step, actually, and it's kind of, I never knew that they were tied together in sort of like a progression to legacy, and this is your legacy.
Yeah, when we take people kind of through the actual programmatic implementation, they go through the first 3 stages, and then we kind of take a pause and let them kind of say, all right, now you kind of almost like look at it as these are qualify you in your leadership role. So you kind of know. People say, what is leadership? Well, okay, first of all, you got to develop trust in yourself, trust in your teammate, trust in your partner. What's your vision? I can go on, but then you got to talk about integrity and that sacrifice. No leader's just sitting on his ass.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's the leader. If you talk about the highest form of leadership, whether it's in a religious sense or military sense, right?
Right.
You're substituting yours for someone else's. Because I had a father, I had these kind of things that lived in him and in his relationship. Well, there are a lot of young men and women who don't have that, and they may even have a physical father, but may not even, they still have a void. So for me, from a religious, from a faith-filled standpoint, from that relationship with a heavenly father, right, those things can still be, these are spiritual truth and principles. At the end of the day, they really are.
Absolutely.
That we have to understand that give us that type of identity. We're as humans, we're relational people. We've got it based on relationships.
Right.
So these things kind of help push those and help make those relationships successful, whether it's with God or the people we're working with or our family.
Right.
That's what's important about it.
Mm-hmm. We're going to have more with Allan Houston about Fizzle when we come back with R&R on the other side of this.
Gold jewelry shining so bright, strawberry champagne on us. Lucky for you, that's what I like. That's what I like. Lucky.
This is Allan Houston, and this is my Fizzle moment. The fifth fundamental of Fizzle is legacy. A legacy is aware and pursuit of one's positive impact on humanity, society, and eternity. How do we want to be remembered? What matters the most? What are our deepest values? How do we want to be known? This will help us measure our impact and our influence.
R&R on Sports.
Former NBA basketball player, Brother Mario Ellie. Welcome to R&R on Sports.
Pleasure to be out here with you guys, man. Thank you guys for having me.
It's R&R on Sports.
And we are back on R&R talking to Allan Houston. And we're talking about this new organization he has formed called Fizzle. And
not Snoop Dogg's Fizzle.
No.
This is Allan Houston's Fizzle.
No, it's not Fizzle for Shizzle. And is that how you say it?
Yeah, Fizzle for Shizzle, my nizzle.
You have to be,
we can say Fizzle for Shizzle.
Yeah. You got to be careful. Got to be careful. So these principles and whatnot. So what's the plan to communicate them and spread them like wildfire?
Well, that's a good question. Fortunately, we have a relationship and a partnership existing now with a company called Everify. Everify is a digital technology company. They've helped create several digital curriculum for schools all over the country. Mm-hmm. So we partner with them with their African American Studies curriculum. And so we're taking the Fizzle principles and learning system and merging the Fizzle principles with African American history in several schools. Right now we're in over 40 schools all over the country. Over 600 students will take this Fizzle, and it's called Fizzle 306. 306 was Dr. King's room, as we know, right?
Absolutely.
In the Lorraine, and some other significance to that number. But the thing about Fizzle, which is I get excited about, is it takes on this role of identifying the research and science and success behind experiential learning. Mm-hmm. So we learn through this learning cycle of experiential learning. We have a concept, we apply it, we live it out, and it becomes something that we become more aware of and have better understanding of. If we can continue to promote the message and these principles and values that we can help define in our life, understand where faith lives in our life, and how does faith and basketball coexist? How does faith in African American studies? How does faith in science and STEM and math? How does faith live in everything we do? How does integrity live in everything we do? The more we can become aware of that and understand it, the more these things can become kind of second nature in our life. And that's the idea of how Fizzle takes on this role of an educational life learning tool that can be partnered with whatever the activity that these students are doing in their life.
Awesome. Now, once again, this is R&R on Sports, and we're speaking with New York Knicks great Allan Houston. Now, you spoke about all these different attributes of these life components in order to live a successful life. How do you scale it even more so that more kids can have access to this information, more kids can have the impact of the messages that you're sharing?
Well, that's the process literally we are in now. It becomes something that the more you make it available, the more you craft the best practices, the more research you do on how it's working, what needs to be improved upon. Partnerships are very important.
Right.
And so, I've literally gone to several schools in New York and even worked with some of the guys that I've, that are playing now, in the league and, fatherhood programs. So we're really getting a stronger sense of where Fizzle can be applied in the partnerships that it can endure and sustain. What you want to do is you want to have a measurement tool on how you know that that the understanding and the awareness of these principles are being realized, because we can't go and say, all right, in 10 years this is what happened to this person.
Right.
But what we can do is I can say the more this person is aware of these things in their life, the better chance they have of becoming second nature.
Right. Are you guys doing a kind of train the trainer situation? Because, for example, my son lives in D.C.
Yeah.
And he is part of this mentoring program. This is like his 5th year.
Yeah.
And they are doing fantastic work. But I know that they're kind of coming from the hip. The mentors are teaching the fundamentals of the character traits and characteristics that they were taught.
Yeah.
From their, in his case, from me.
Yeah.
And my father and whatnot. So they don't have a teaching a plan, so to speak. So are you guys going to be reaching out to mentors and coaches and people who work with young people to train them in the Fizzle way so that they can continue? Is that the plan?
I mean, you hit it right on the head. That's what we have a project right now going on in New York called the Fizzle Project.
Okay.
And, would love to try to expand that here in Memphis. And we actually have the same thing going on in Louisville, Kentucky. We have an Allan Houston Mentoring Initiative. The idea of the Fizzle Project is to basically do what you just said. Train those facilitators, whether it's the parents, the leaders, the coaches, those who are running and working directly with the youth or working directly with student leaders. So these are the first line of that, because what you want the students and the trainers to be able to do is to be able to define these concepts.
Absolutely.
If they can't define them, then how can they realize them and live them and
apply
them, right? So the training process is about, let's help them define them, help them apply them in a systematic way. What has helped me is now when I speak about any topic in life, or when I speak to my kids or speak to anyone, I have a lens and a framework through which I can see and speak on certain issues and refer back to things just in life. And that's what we really want. Sometimes, with social media, with media, not everyone is their own media entity.
Right.
Everyone is their own media brand. Right. So if you walk up to anyone on the street and they're their own media brand, then when that camera is on them and they have something to say, what are they going to say and what framework are they going to speak from? You have to have a guided message and a guided plan to speak your message, to increase your brand value. So what we hope that Fizzle will do is will allow these students to enhance their own media entity, which they all are, if they're on in a media property, so that their brand integrity, right, and their leadership and their legacy and their belief system, and their identity is consistent, right? So they can live things consistently with what they're actually saying and they're seeing.
Right. This is R&R on Sports, and we're speaking with the founder of the Fizzle Project and former New York Knicks great, Allan Houston. So, Allan, how could someone, like, say if a principal or someone is listening to the show and they like, man, I really want to get that at my school. Yeah. What would be the steps to contacting you guys and and then kind of facilitate an opportunity to bring Fizzle to their neck of the woods?
I think the first thing is we have an email set up called the Fizzle Project.
Okay.
At Gmail.
Okay.
THEFISLL. That's right. 2 L's.
Yeah.
Right? Project at
Okay.
gmail.com. That's the first, way that we are getting information and resources to say, how interested are you? How, what level of activity, are we able to engage in right away? How much time would we need to make an assessment of when we could engage? Because again, there's have to be a training and an introduction process. The Fizzle is nothing more or less than a learning tool.
Okay,
it's a learning system, and when these schools that are partnered with Fizzle and Everfi are using it, it's still a project where we're still evaluating and assessing how to best use it, but it is a tool that has become valuable because, again, the experiential learning allows them to take the information, the content that they're learning in that class and do a deeper dive and understand it more with more depth through these principles. For example, we do a segment with the African American Histories program, and we talk about the transatlantic slave period.
Okay.
Right. So when we talk about that transatlantic slavery period, when we got on those first ships, 75, over 600 passengers, if we want to call them passengers, right?
All right, I'm about to start calling you my man.
Exactly. That's where I was kind of leading to, right? Some people calling them passengers, right? So anyway, 400 of them, literally, half of the slaves wouldn't even make it.
No. Right.
So when you got off that boat, you had to have a certain level of faith, right? That this was going to be your new reality, and what does that look like? And that's so we talked about how faith applied even to our identity, even as a people, right? When we were brought to a land that we weren't even intended to be a human value.
Absolutely,
it was a working value.
And then the other part of that is letting kids know that they are the descendants of the survivors, which were the strongest. Psychologically, mentally, they were the strongest. Physically, they were the strongest. They were the survivors. They are descendants of those who made it. Because all of the ones who did not are on the bottom of the Atlantic at this point, and so they should understand that they come from very, very strong stock.
And every one of the fundamentals has 7 dimensions. So it's not just faith. So with faith, the first dimension of faith is identity, because you have to understand who you are and whose you are, right? To kind of align yourself with as you move forward through this process. So that's a great insight on that, because again, going back to how you align these principles with whatever they're learning in the classroom or outside of the classroom, that's really where it's embedded.
Right.
Man, that is awesome.
It's called the Fizzle Project.
The Fizzle Project.
And to get more information, give them the information again. What do they need to do?
Email thefizzleproject@gmail.com.
All right.
THEFISLL project.
All right. And Allan, we're gonna thank you again, man. But we're gonna keep leaning on the shield.
That's right.
So know this.
The three Kappa man.
Know this.
My new pop.
So we're going to be back at you. And for a return visit, and look forward to it. Thank you for being with us. We'll be back with more R&R right after this.
Everything I would do, you were standing there by my side. And now you gonna be
R&R on Sports with iConversation.
The executive director of the NBA Players Association, Ms. Michelle Roberts.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
He is currently managing director and chairman of USA Basketball, Mr. Jerry Colangelo, with us here on R&R on Sports.
Thank you, guys. Nice to be with you.
The one, the only, Detlef Shrimp.
Hey, Howard, Larry, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be on the show.
Ken Griffey Jr., how are you today, sir?
I'm good. How about you guys?
Catch iConversation on R&R on Sports. Part of the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Welcome back to R&R. We are so glad that you have spent this time with us. Before we go, Larry, what you got to say, man?
Once again, I realize it's a tough time, but this could be a beautiful time for us to innovate, to introspectively look at how we could be better. So, but beyond all that, I want to thank and give the biggest shout out to all those first responders, those emergency room doctors, those ambulance and EMS workers. Man, thank you guys, because without you guys, this would be so much worse. So thank you for your tireless efforts, and God bless you, and God bless your families.
And keep you safe.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking of safe, I want to tell everybody to be very, very careful, to protect yourselves and protect your families. We don't know anything about this enemy that we have. This is an enemy unlike any other that we've ever faced or fought before. And when you don't know your enemy, you just have to take precautions. Don't take chances, take precautions. Be cautious. So please stay put, stay at home. Do not subject yourselves or your family to possible infection by doing something that people are asking you not to do. Please stay close. Please protect yourselves. This ain't nothing to play with. We talk about playing, and we play a lot all the time. This is very, very serious stuff. I want you to keep yourselves well, and I want you to keep yourselves safe, protect, and take care of your families. We're going to thank you for being with us here for another episode of R&R on Sports. We ain't going nowhere. We're going to get to you the best way we know how, and we appreciate your being there and listening to us. So, for Howard Robertson
and the dude, the most amazing, the most innovative, Larry Robertson.
You did that already, man. You did that already.
Well, sometimes, as they say, repetition is the mother of all learning. With that being said, make sure you download the app, Google Play or the App Store, KUDZUKIAN app. Download it.
We're R&R on Sports. I'm Howard Robertson, and he's Larry Robinson, and we're out. Y'all take care.
Peace.
You've been listening to a little R&R on Sports, written and produced by Howard Robertson, Larry Robinson, recorded and mixed in Memphis, Tennessee.